We get those land books online so anybody can look at them and preserve them. They're dilapidated. They fall apart so easily, and then you're lost. One thing I'd like to do is reach out to the school children and get them more involved, maybe do a poster campaign on the election process or something. And I don't remember learning anything like that in grade school and doing fun things that can help teach. On that avenue, I'd like to go into the high schools and work with the juniors and seniors to get them to register to vote, to get them to go vote. That is the biggest thing. I have 3 children, 28, 27, 25. Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I'll talk to their friends and ask them to support me. I don't vote. I'm not registered. Why? Why are these kids coming out of high school without the knowledge to go do that, without the support to go do that? I'd like to figure out some way and work with the high school counselors maybe and get them more involved. That's it. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for coming. It was a great turnout, really. My name is Kevin Campbell, and I'm running for County Commission for Upshur County as an independent candidate because I don't think that partisan politics has a place in county government. The days of straight ticket voting are gone. It's no longer legal in West Virginia. And I think it's important for everybody in the community to carefully consider the individuals running and not just their party affiliation. The city has done away with partisan politics, and I hope that sometime in the future the county will also. Maybe that upsets a few people because that's not the way it's always been done, but we need to look at our county and what's best for our county. What our neighbors do is important, and it's important that we collaborate with them whenever we can. A great example is our Convention and Visitors Bureau works closely with both Lewis and Randolph, and we share advertising of events and opportunities along Route 33. There's one campaign that's 99 things to do along Route 33. And we can promote industries like tourism greatly by working with our neighbors. But getting back to the basic questions tonight, what can we do and change about this county to make things better for the future and keep people here? My personal belief is first off, we have to protect what we have, because some of what we have is very fragile. Our water system, for example, we have one intake in the Buchanan River that serves over 90% of the people of this county and parts of other counties. And we need to make sure that with the industrial development in our area, pipelines, wells, timbering, anything that causes dramatic ground disturbance, that the erosion and sediment controls are in place, they're monitored, and any violations are dealt with appropriately. We have minutes to shut down the water intake of the Buchanan River if there's a major problem. Personally, I don't think construction on the pipeline should have been allowed to start until we had a second water source available. Because to have a second water source at this point will take 2 years and $22 million to get it from Stone Coal Reservoir. It's a huge risk. I'm also very concerned, and I've been involved in public safety in this community since shortly after I arrived here. And I'm concerned with the way we fund our fire departments and emergency services. Our fire fee is 18 years old, and it's never been increased in the last 18 years, where the sheriff's department gets an increase every year. So our fire services are struggling, and a few years back, the state took part of the insurance fee that people pay that have homeowners insurance, and they took away 55% of that and used it to prop up the public employees' insurance, which needed to be done. But once they got past that period, they never gave it back to the fire departments. So they've been underfunded for years, and good grief, they shouldn't have to have hot dog sales in order to buy gear to protect the volunteers that are working for all of us. And they do a great job. I'm running out of time already, but one thing people don't even realize in this county is that some departments like Adrian have improved their standards so greatly that people are entitled to lower insurance rates. And I would recommend that people look into that and see if they can reduce their bills. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Robert L. Bob Stoltz. I'm a candidate for the House of Delegates in Upshur and Roos County. I have in Roos County and 2 precincts here in Upshur. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm an attorney in Weston. I've been there since 1985. I've served in the Board of Education there. I'm married to Robin Stoltz, my wife, who's in the audience here. And we have a daughter, Amelia. And so I grew up in a farm, and my mom was a school cook, so I know about hard work and how to succeed. After I graduated from law school, I worked at the Supreme Court, which at that time was kind of a prestigious position, but now, in light of recent events, it may not be so prestigious. And then I was prosecuting attorney for a few years, and then I've been in private practice representing workers' comp claimants, and some of the things I've done over the years, I've been in the Roos County Board of Education. I've been in the Central West Virginia Aging Service Board of Directors since 1988. I've been in the Roos County 4-H Foundation 14 years. I've been coach and also a 4-H advisor. The things I think we need to do to work on is, one is strengthen education. Our teachers and school service personnel and all our public employees deserve fair wages and good health benefits. We also need to expand vocational education. Not all students are college-bound, but they need formal education and technical education. Also, we need to defend our property rights and protect our rights from being forced to take away from us. And then also we need to help seniors. We need to end the taxation and Social Security, state taxation and Social Security benefits. And we need to restore the funding of in-home services care. 2 years ago, the legislature took money out of the in-home service and used it to put the roof in the prison. So I think we need to take care of our seniors first and foremost. So those are the things I'd be working for in Charleston.
Hi, my name is Laura Finch. I'm the Democratic candidate for State Senate in the 11th District, which is comprised of Nicholas, Webster, Upshur, Pocahontas, Pendleton, Randolph, and a half of Grant County. And I'm a young lawyer in Pocahontas County. I have my own practice, and that's what enables me to venture out and do this great work of talking about the ideas that I think are going to move us forward towards the future in West Virginia. And I know that if I had any different kind of job, I wouldn't be so fortunate. as to have the opportunity to seek your vote to be your state senator. I also know that had I any other kind of job, I might not be in West Virginia. And in fact, I didn't get to grow up here. I was born in Charleston. My mother is from Mason County originally, but I grew up in Virginia because that's where my parents had jobs. So setting out on this campaign, it was my hope that I might be elected to improve opportunities for young people to stay in West Virginia and build their lives here. And I know that as an attorney, I have the opportunity to do that, and a lot of young people are not so lucky. And we young people are asking for representation. We're asking for the opportunity to improve some of the challenges that we face here in the state. And the theme of my campaign has been for children, for families, for us. And that came to me partly due to my work as a contracted public defender in child abuse, neglect, and juvenile proceedings, that I see so often the least fortunate among us, and I see the good that government can do for them. And I think that when we start thinking about, instead of a top-down approach to economics or social services or education, we think about a bottom-up approach, I think we can really make some headway in addressing these challenges. And so everything that we have to do is for these children. We have to build the best education system money can buy. And some say we already pay for it, but that we need to improve opportunities for young people to get good jobs coming out of K-12 if that's their choice, moving on to higher education if that's their choice. We invest in education, but we don't see returns on that investment. And I agree wholeheartedly with the movement of the teachers to fight for better pay. I wish that they didn't have to do it. But the way I see it, the Republicans in the state legislature would not get out of the way. And so I believe that both parties have done things that are wrong. But right now, we see a majority in the state legislature that's unwilling to promote progress and to give these teachers what they're due. But that's not the only way we improve education. We have to ensure that there are more social workers in the classrooms. We have to provide that we have the most innovative curriculum available and that we're really thinking forward. And when I talk about for families, I'm talking about the idea that we are able to keep more families together here in the state by improving opportunities for their children to remain here. When I talk about that my campaign is for us, it's for workers' rights and for seniors' rights to be paid what they've earned, what they deserve, and I believe in increasing the minimum wage, again, because it's not about this top-down approach. It's about a bottom-up approach that's going to best serve us going forward. I think that if we do eliminate the state income tax on Social Security, if we do increase the minimum wage, we have the potential to put more money in the pockets of hardworking West Virginians who are going to spend it. If we don't do this, we're sending it out of state with these corporations' bottom lines. So that's what I'm about. I want to be your state senator. I want to be a true representative for this district. I want to listen to you. And I've thought to say in this campaign that it's not about me, it's about you, but it's about me too. Because I want to live in a place where we have clean air and clean water. I want to live in a place where the people who serve me aren't being paid substandard wages. I want to live in a place where the children that I don't yet have the opportunity to attend the best schools in the nation and the opportunity to live and thrive here in West Virginia. I'm Laura Finch. I'm running for state senate. Thank you.
Thanks to everybody. I know that everybody still has questions, and so we're going to break up and have the candidates move around to the tables where you all are sitting. Feel free to get up if you need to and get yourself some refreshments or whatever. And please, if you do need to leave early, before you leave, There's some campaign literature at this table here. There's a couple of campaign signs up front. Grab one on your way out if you feel so inclined. And please keep up with these candidates and the candidacy and their websites as you go along. Do you have a question?
Before they break up and move around, do you think we could possibly ask them as a panel, being they're all Democrats other than you, Kevin, I'm sorry, that we could ask them as a panel and see what their total input is? And also, one of the first things I would like to ask is why we have all Democrats and no Republicans?
Well, that would be a question that I personally couldn't answer. All I can say is that we did invite them all. But certainly, I have no problem with opening up the floor to these folks. I just want to make sure that everybody gets their personal one-on-one time with them. Is everyone okay with
I like the
doing that?
personal one-on-one, but I would also like to have them answer as a whole so we can all hear, not just one table at a time.
Okay, let's do that one question then, and then we'll have, say again? Are you all good? Okay, please restate the question.
Okay, my question is this. Why would you say that the Republicans are not here? It's just a personal answer, I understand that, but I just find it kind of hard to believe they all said no or we're going someplace else. Any thoughts?
Well, my opponent told me last week he wasn't coming, and that was all he said.
I can't tell you why my opponent isn't here, but I can tell you why I am here. And that's because I want this job. So you can infer what you may. But I'm not afraid to sit here and answer your questions in front of the whole room. I'm not afraid of what you're going to ask me because I'm going to be honest. And if I'm fortunate enough to be elected your state senator, I'm always going to be there to listen. We may not always agree, but I can promise that I will listen to what you have to say, and I'll very carefully consider any decision that I'm asked to make, and I'll always try to do the right thing.
I don't know why my opponent isn't here. She never responded to any of the invites. Some of the other people that aren't here did respond and said that they couldn't be here because they had a scheduling conflict, which is understandable. Okay. Patrick Martin told me a couple weeks ago that he would not be able to make it, and just last week Bill Hamilton did likewise. The others I don't think we heard from at all. And it's unfortunate because the community deserves an opportunity to speak to the candidates before they go to the polls. And we had a couple of good forums before the primary, but it was like nobody seemed interested in having one before the general election, and finally we put this together because we felt there needed to be something for the community.
I don't even have an answer. I don't know why she wouldn't come. I show up and I'm a nervous ball of energy, and I'm here, so I don't know.
And again, I hate to speak for somebody else. I have no idea why my opponent's not here if he wasn't comfortable with this venue. If he wants to find another venue that he's more comfortable at, I'll go anywhere. I think that people in this district deserve to hear from the people that want to represent them. And I have nothing to hide. I have a long history. Robbie Martin? I have a long history of service to this community. I would welcome any opportunity to talk about that. And I think that I have a lot to offer. So, if there's another venue where they feel more comfortable, let me know.
Well, in my 40-some years of public service and everything, I've noticed that you are more noticed by your absence sometimes than you are your presence. That's right.
Talk about we're paying for quality education but not getting it. What would you do to improve it?
Would you mind terribly if we went ahead and did the split, and then you can ask that question? and everybody else can ask their questions.
Everybody wants to hear.
Unless everybody does everybody want to hear that answer?
Questions put forth.
Fine, fine. Go ahead, repeat that question.
We say that we are spending money for quality education but not getting it. What do we need to do to bring the two together?
Some people say that the reason why our per capita spending on education is so high in West Virginia is because of the cost of transportation, especially in rural counties. So I think that we can take innovative approaches to solving that problem. And, you know, maybe a 4-day school week is not the right solution because it does put a burden on parents to provide childcare.
Shame to make a parent a parent.
I think that, you know, conservatives might argue that there is a lot of maladministration, not only in the Supreme Court, which I worked for also as a circuit law clerk for several years prior to opening my own practice, but also in our Department of Education, that there is a lot of red tape and bureaucracy that money is tied up in. I think that one thing we can do is pay our teachers adequately and ensure that we attract the best and the brightest teachers, many of whom already work here, ensure that they stay. So those are a few ideas that I would have, but I think that overall, we need to look to the advice of people who have a lot of experience in improving outcomes in education, and that needs to be our highest priority. Not getting in the way of pay raises for teachers that they've earned for decades, which is all our legislature did this session, but instead dedicating our time to how are we best going to equip these children to face a new future where we no longer are looked down upon in West Virginia, where we really can rise up and be a wonderful source for tourism, but also for jobs.
I agree with lots of things she says. One of the things we need to do is get children in the right track at an early age. And we also need to get counseling. We need the education starts at home. Unless we have parents that encouraging education, it's difficult to get children to work and realize the value of education. So that's one of the things, the spread families or whatever reasons, children are falling behind early and they will never catch up if they get behind.
As a county commissioner, there's not much I can do about education. You know, the school board is a separate entity in each county, and their rules are based on state precedents. There's little county administrators can do to affect that. But a couple of things I see in this county, and I've seen. Years ago, I trained as a school bus driver in Upshur County, and I learned every route. And every day on those buses, I would see some kids get on the bus and ride to school, and others being chauffeured to school by their parents. And the end result is we're paying twice. You know, we're paying to put the buses on the road for everybody. Some aren't using them. Then we're paying with the traffic congestion of all those parents trying to get into the school parking lot to drop off little Johnny and Susie when they could have been on the bus. West Virginia's student transportation system is a model for the country. It's the safest public transportation system in the country. And we should be celebrating that and expanding on it and dealing with the discipline problems that get some kids booted off the bus, because adding to traffic congestion and all the other side effects of extra cars on the road is not the answer. And it's making it harder to justify the transportation cost that the school system is funded when the kids aren't on the bus.
As county clerk, I'm not sure what kind of influence I would have on the education system, but I will say this, I have two sons. The oldest one is a teacher here in Upshur County and a coach, and my youngest son is a police officer in Clarksburg, and they both serve the communities, and I supported them by being out on the front line during the strike, so whatever they need.
The most effective thing that we can do is actually a no-cost solution. We do not live in a 17th century agrarian culture anymore, but for some reason our school calendar is still based on that. There's overwhelming research that shows that balancing the school calendar to eliminate a long summer break and have smaller breaks throughout the year increases school performance overall and disproportionately benefits kids from low-income families. Generally, kids from low-income families aren't going to the Carnegie Science Center in Pittsburgh during the summer. Their families don't have the resources to take them to DC to go through museums at the Smithsonian, so they fall back farther in the summertime. They learn just as well during the school year, but when school's out, they fall back farther. And then teachers end up having to review, and they have to go over the same material again. And changing that calendar is a no-cost option. It's the same number of instructional days. So there's no increase in paying teachers, no increase in service personnel. I've talked to probably 25 teachers from this county about that over the last couple months, and I haven't found anybody that was opposed to it. If there was some sort of large opposition on a statewide basis, I would be all for incentivizing a few school districts to pilot to see how it works. Although really it shouldn't be necessary, because again, this isn't just like an idea I came up with while I was in the bathroom before the meeting. There's a ton of research that bears that out, that shows that this is a solution that works. One of the other solutions that I see that is something that I pop into my own head. Last winter I had 2 kids for a few months, and I haven't had to deal with that in 20 years. And it's really made me look at, one, appreciate teachers and single parents. I don't know how single parents do that. I did it for like 3 months and it almost killed me, having to be at the same place every time, twice a day. Don't know how to do that. But again, I think it's a throwback to our agrarian past. Why do we let kids drop out of school? Especially before they're 18, if their parents approve. Who cares if their parents approve? We're letting them intentionally become uneducated and a burden to the rest of us. And part of that's because we keep pushing kids through the school system, and we'll punish schools, we'll punish teachers if they have kids that are held back. We need to quit. We need to obviously hold teachers accountable. They need to be responsible to their students. They don't need to be responsible for their students. There's a lot that influences those students' lives, and it's not just the teachers. If they're doing their job, they shouldn't be held accountable because the parents aren't doing their job. And we need to tell these kids, if you don't graduate from high school, if you hamstring yourself by not getting an education, you're not going to get a driver's license. You're not going to get supported housing. You're not going to get a food stamp card. We're not going to support you because you chose to be a burden to the rest of us. I know that's not exactly a liberal stance on that, but it's kind of where I am. And I think that another area where we can improve education is not just in the education system itself. My stepfather was a member of the United Steelworkers Union for most of his adult life. He started out as a brake press operator, just shoving sheets of steel in a machine and hitting some buttons, and it pressed it into a door all day long. And through an apprenticeship program that was part of the Steelworkers Union, he became a highly skilled tool and die maker. A few weeks ago, I was at the United Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Hall in Clarksburg, where they have a training center. And I met 20-some-year-old kids with six-figure incomes because of the training that they had gotten through the apprenticeship program at that union hall. And I think we need to support that by quit busting unions. We need to repeal the legislation that made West Virginia a right-to-work state. And we need to put prevailing wage back in place.
Yes.
We need to support unions. We need to promote those partnerships between schools and unions, because those unions, to get into that electrical apprenticeship program, you have to have some advanced algebra classes. So we need to work those relationships out so that the kids that are in school get what they need so that they can continue to progress.
Good answer. All right, at this point, I want to ask the audience how you would like to proceed. I see some people have questions. If you all are comfortable staying where you are and leaving the panel up front, we can do that. If you want to continue with the original idea of having each person go around to the tables so you can speak with them directly, we can do that too. Or we can spend a few more minutes on the panel, and then everyone can just get up and mill around and just talk to whomever. So,
The panel.
so how many want to keep the panel and sit where you are and continue to ask questions? Raise them high. Let's see. It seems like a majority to me. What are the other ideas? Somebody shout out what you'd rather do if not that. Should we take a break and then resume the panel? Okay? All right, let's take a 10-minute break. Okay. was really gratified that so many people did get to talk one-on-one with some people already. That's awesome. What I think we'll do now is take 3 questions for the panel. And then if you guys want to break up and talk again, one-on-one. Does that sound okay to everybody? Okay. So 3 questions, and somebody who hasn't asked a question yet? Ron Pugh had one.
Thank you. My name's Ron Pugh. I've been in public service for 45 years, either in my adjunct position up here at as county clerk and in city council. In between that, I sold election equipment and ran elections for county governments in 3 states. My problem is going back to education again. I have 2 daughters, one in Bridgeport and one in Morgantown. They have excellent educational facilities there. Morgantown High, well, my daughter, my one grandchild got a 36 on her ACTs out of Morgantown High. She didn't do that because she had piss poor teachers. She had great teachers. I can't say enough about either one of those. We have maybe 5 or 6 counties in the state that are really superb in what they do. Why aren't all the others catching up to them? And another thing is, how many teachers do we have in here today?
Or former teachers.
Former teachers, whatever. When's the last time you failed a student? Ah, never.
No, that's not true.
That's not true? Well, when's the last time you did?
Well, I've been retired 10 years.
Oh, okay, so it's 10 years ago. Anyway, I find that the position of teachers in a lot of counties is that you got to pass them on no matter what. Pass them on. It's kind of like you've been. Yes, that's true. Anybody disagree with that? You see, my question is, what can we do to bring these other 50 counties to a standard of what 5 or 6 are at right now?
All right, let's start down.
I'd like to say something about that. You know, you're talking about an area that's pretty wealthy and a pretty good economic system. How do teachers educate children that come to school dirty, hungry, worried about what's going on at home? How do you educate them? They don't have their brains on that. They are worried. How do we deal with the culture? We've got to change our culture in this area.
That's what I wanted to know is what we have to do to change.
We have another part 3 of this question. Part 3, Joe.
I remember when I started in Upshur County in '78, we had a 100% levy. And it provided a lot of money to the counties. It provided a lot of money to Upshur County for supplies and salaries and supplemental pay and all that. And now there was a vote many years ago, I forget when it was, and the county voters voted the levy down, and we had nothing for a lot of years. Now, I finished working in Harrison County for 6 years. That is a very affluent county, but they've also got a 90 or 100% levy. Now, when you talk about his position over there, it comes down to dollar bills an awful lot of the time, because the more that teachers are compensated in materials, equipment, and all those kinds of things, the better they're going to work, the better opportunities the kids are going to have. Now, there's places in Harrison County just as poor as in Upshur County. And believe me, Harrison County is not immune to some of the same problems we have here. And there's probably more of it because there's a higher population there. But on the other hand, I think the voters of the county has to put the emphasis on whether or not they want to provide additional funds for their kids and their teachers, and I think maybe the education results would be a little bit better.
Okay, so we have a cultural problem, we have a financial problem.
Well, and you can't put your kids' education blame on the teachers all the time. The parents has got to get involved.
Right.
And that's the parents have got to get involved. Not the grandparents, the parents.
Right, okay, so let's start down here and try to keep it 2 minutes at least if you can.
For a long time, I've thought exactly the same thing that this woman said, that it's really a cultural problem, that we need to create a culture that values education more. The solutions that I outlined earlier, changing the school calendar, et cetera, can achieve that same effect without having to go through. Changing a culture is a difficult thing to do. So we can change the structure and achieve the same results without having to change the culture. Same with, not letting people drop out. And I also agree that we do not have a quality of income for schools in the state. So it's difficult then to evaluate one against the other when they're dealing with a whole different population. I mean, if you're going to high school in Mon County or you're going to high school in McDowell County, you got two way different populations going on. You have a much more severe drug problem. You have lower income. And again, it's not that necessarily the people that are low income don't value education or don't know that that's the path to prosperity for their children. It's that they don't have the ability to support that. They don't have, they're not doing stuff out of school to support that. And those are the same people who, they're going to worry about, do those kids know where they're going home at the end of the day? Does that change? Or, is there some flexibility there? We have a ton of homeless children. We don't think about that. The average age of a homeless person in the United States right now is 9 years old. And, so we like to think that all homeless people are 50-year-old drunks, and that's not the case. So, these kids are dealing with a huge amount of stress, which is going to make learning difficulty. They're difficult no matter where they go to school or who their teachers are. And it turns teachers into social workers instead of teachers.
I'm skipping this question.
For economic development, the county has got to have excellent education. And the 5 counties in this state that are developing well have that. Okay? It's a prime example. I am absolutely in favor of a school levy because we can't attract new business here without having excellent education opportunities. And that's for everybody. That's not just for the gifted kids. We need excellent trade school opportunities. We need the college prep stuff, yes. But you need a wide range because everybody doesn't fit the same mold. And there's a shortage right now of trades. Try to get a plumber, try to get an electrician, try to get a carpenter. It's horrible. These jobs have disappeared over the years, and we need to start retraining the next generation to fill them because those jobs are going to continue forever. We have the trade school went away from teaching mechanical skills to teaching automotive diagnostics, but now they can only work on something that they can plug into a computer. We still have plenty of machines out there that somebody needs the skills to fix because you can't just throw it away and buy a new one. So our new school superintendent, I think, is going to do a great job for Upshur County. She wants to expand the trade school. She wants to see some new programs go in there, and we want to start teaching some of our kids some real world skills.
Like I said before, I think it starts at home, but we do have certain areas of the state that do have higher quality schools because of the income, the salaries in these places. Plus, the start paying more and getting to attract and keep teachers. That's we can get the teachers, and if you look at statistics, I can't remember offhand, but it's like 1 in 4 people, first-year teachers, drop out of the education being teachers. And if I read a story about this, and in 1975, 80% of the parents thought their children should be teachers, or they would like that, and now it's less than 50%. So we need to encourage teachers and get top quality teachers.
When we talk about improving outcomes in education, we're not talking about improving outcomes for the best and brightest with the most involved family and the best backgrounds whose moms get to put them on the bus and take them off. And I've often said that poverty is the greatest challenge facing education. And I've often said that very same thing that was recited, which is when we get kids to school well-rested and clean and ready to learn, we're going to have better outcomes. So we need more social workers in the schools who are able to address challenges that teachers believe their students are facing. And as an attorney, a lot of times I'm working as a social worker because those resources for adults aren't available. And I'm finding drug treatment for people. There was a lack of trust in the institution, which was the Board of Education. So, I don't know whether you all will be pleased to hear this, but I always think of Upshur County as having the most remarkable education system of these 7 counties, and was particularly impressed by your high school and the aptitude and the vigor of the young people at your high school. And you have a lot to be proud of, but it absolutely is tied to income and education. And Upshur County is on the higher end in terms of the counties that I'm hoping to represent. So I hope that we can improve education by improving wages for workers and help folks to be better able to support their families.
Thank you.
I love the comprehensive answers. I think it's very informative. So I would like to entertain a couple of more questions on some different topics, and then afterward you can go directly to the candidates and ask them your specific questions. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm glad to hear that some of you are more in favor of getting some training for kids who are not, say, college material. But we really do need an alternative for those kids. My grandson, he's in Florida, and he was not going to go to college. I mean, but he got into a program where they trained him to be a machinist. And he's doing very well with that. And it gives him a chance to earn a living, even though he doesn't have a college education. And I think that there are a lot of other kids who are in this type of situation where they need to be able to learn skills where they can earn a living, but maybe they aren't WVU material and stuff like that. And
so what's the question, ma'am?
So I'm just saying, I really feel it's important for the Board of Education to put some more thought into alternative schooling for the kids.
Are there any responses to that? You all agree, or?
Yeah, I agree. And again, I think we can do a lot through public-private partnerships, whether that's through trade unions or employers, make a good living without having to necessarily have gone through, getting a bachelor's degree. I have lots of friends who have, bachelor's degrees in philosophy, and they're still waiting for the philosophy factory to open.
There are some other great opportunities in this area up in Harrison County and at 4 other locations in West Virginia. You have the Robert C. Byrd Institute for Advanced Manufacturing Technology. And you can go in there and learn how to program a CNC laser machine that'll cut out metal parts all day. And the course is about 18 months long, and when you graduate, you will have a certificate as a machine operator. And your opportunity is there's about 200 jobs available for every applicant. You can pretty much pick whatever city you want to go to. Now, that is still taking West Virginia's people, educating them and moving them somewhere else to make a living in most cases. But some of those jobs are available in West Virginia. The other thing is those facilities do become a great asset to small businesses. I've used R.C. Byrd on numerous occasions to cut out intricate parts for projects that I was doing for a customer. And all I'm paying for is machine time. I'm saving thousands of dollars by utilizing an asset that's sitting there underutilized, that they're gaining a little bit of money off of, and helping a West Virginia business at the same time. So there are some of those collaborations going on that help between education and manufacturing.
But are they in Upshur County?
Those are not in Upshur County. We do have the trade school, which is helping with some of that, but we need to expand the trade school and have more to offer.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think we do need to expand vocational education to meet the needs of the workforce today. Sometimes we say we have trade schools, but they are teaching skills that may not be jobs available for. So we need to match the education with the jobs. Also, the unions do an excellent job of having training. There are several apprenticeships that produce quality workers, so we need to help that and help work together to expand the vocational education.
What strikes me in this discussion is, for example, a student at Pocahontas County High School can graduate with a certificate in welding, and they can get right out there and make 2 or 3 times what their teachers are making. So we need to provide those opportunities, but we also need to pay teachers what they've earned, because that's how we'll attract the best teachers and build the brightest futures for students.
So I feel like we're kind of sliding into discussion of economics. Does that seem kind of like where we're headed? So does anybody have a question in that arena?
I know I asked something before.
Okay, I see 4 or 5 hands. Why don't you just go ahead and ask, and then we'll try to kind of put everybody together to answer all of that.
One of the things that was apparent to me, and Kevin mentioned it, was, I don't think I need anything on.
It's for the channel 3.
Anyway, one of the things that was apparent to me, okay, we need to expand trades and stuff like that. I needed a plumber about a month ago. Every plumber that I called that was in the Yellow Pages had shut down his business and moved somewhere else because there's not enough people to keep them open and to pay them to make a job in this particular area. And I noticed that in taxes also. I'm from Delaware, New Jersey area. We paid the highest property taxes in the country, $12,000 a year for a property. I moved down here for a reason. When I moved down here, it was $329 a year for my house and my acreage. How in the world do we possibly think at that level of finance we can get a good education? Especially when you look and you see, I was just reading on a computer yesterday, we have the 3rd most expensive educational system in the country, going by states. How can we possibly fund that when we're talking $329 a year versus $12,000?
Okay, quick answer, solution that comes to mind?
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna. Yeah. I don't know if you're gonna get a whole lot of support for raising.
Be down there hanging you.
Yeah. Yeah, the one area where we could probably look at property taxes, and I just feel like all the mailers are gonna hit the mail tomorrow, is that, you know, we have discounted property tax rates for people who own large tracts of what they call undeveloped land, and it's basically just holding areas for the timber industry and you know, other extraction industries. I think I read something that 26% of West Virginia's surface is owned by out-of-state landowners, and they pay significantly less than average West Virginians do for property taxes. So that might be an area we could look at. I don't think that our education system's third most expensive. I've read several things. I think we're in the middle of the road, kind of, I think anywhere from 20 to 14, somewhere like that. But this is a more expensive area to run a school, because you know, it's been mentioned that you have transportation. If you have a school in an urban area, there's already public transportation available. You don't even have to have a transportation department. So you know, it's just more expensive to live in a rural area. You know, I'm not sure exactly what the solution is going to be. I think it's going to be better, again, to work better, not harder kind of thing that we can get better results without spending less money if we do it.
Does anybody have a specific answer they want to share? Did you have something to say?
Yes. I think we could pay the coach for the WVU football team less than $3 million and put some of that to the other team.
Anybody burning to say something?
I have friends that do that job every Sunday for free.
I love WVU, but I don't think any coach is worth $3 million a year. I'm sorry.
I don't think anybody wins the $1 billion tonight.
Better spent to these teachers.
And yet there are coaches that
Maybe
make $6
we
million a
would
year.
solve more problems if we had a maximum wage instead of a minimum wage.
There's an idea.
But, you know, I agree with you. I don't know how we fund things in this county with our taxes as low as they are.
Doing a hell of a job somehow.
And here's a staggering thing for this county, is half of the county's budget goes to the sheriff's department and incarceration. Half of it. That's an unbelievable drain. And how many people are we incarcerating for nonviolent crimes, and how many people are we incarcerating because they're repeat offenders, which might be violating their probation because, oh, after they got out of jail, they no longer have a place to live, they no longer have a car, they no longer have a job, and they can't get to a probation appointment. There's no public transportation in Upshur County. We really stacked the deck against these people. But I do think that education would improve greatly with more funding, and I am certainly in favor of the levy because, again, we can't attract people to town, we can't attract businesses here without improving our education.
With your $300 and some you pay in taxes, 75% of that goes to the Board of Education, 23% goes to the county, the rest of it's split up between the city. What can the county do on 25% or 23% to bring businesses into this county? It's a catch-22 situation.
Okay, a few other people had some questions. I'd like to try to get them all. If you have a specific thing to say.
I was just going to say about the cost of education. Part of the reason the cost of education is more expensive in West Virginia is the amount of money we have to put aside each year to fully fund the pensions and retirement. And that's calculated in the education costs. So in the past, they have the 40-year plan to fully fund the pensions, and that is quite a significant fund of money.
I've often wondered the same thing, but I'm going to be very clear that we do not get anywhere by increasing taxes on people who make less than $100,000 a year. We get nowhere. we get somewhere by increasing wages to the point that there is more money that stays in our economy. So when we ask the biggest corporations to pay their people, let's say we can't fight for $15 an hour. Let's say we settle for $11.25, and we ask the biggest corporations in town to pay their people $11.25. Well, that's more money that stays here in the community, more money that can be spent at local businesses, more money that stays here in the state. And I think that's how we improve our economy, by having more money stay in the state.
Great. I want to go over here because there's a couple of people who haven't asked anything yet. So make sure you speak up because that microphone does not project.
Okay. You hear me now?
A little bit louder.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not from West Virginia. We moved here in '03. And so I came from Maryland. We both came from Maryland. And we lived in areas like Baltimore and Laurel. And Laurel's halfway between Baltimore and Washington. And so they had a lot of industry out there. And Westinghouse and Bethlehem Steel and all that kind of stuff. And I think we need to promote that here because we have a lot of land out here that's not really being used. And it'd be cheaper to sell that to somebody who wants to put a plan on it and even build a road back there for them, a parking lot, so that people would have places to go. I know that every company that I ever worked in, I think, no, not one, had machine shops and several people in it. And I think we need to increase the opportunities for people in the state to get, sometimes they get a degree to review and then they move to Ohio or wherever. You know, you want to keep them here and you want the skills to be needed here. And that's what I think we ought to do.
Yeah, we need to encourage more manufacturing jobs and things like that. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Okay. So hold that thought. Okay. How can we develop our economy? So is there another question on that topic? Does anybody want to address this comment here that we need to increase manufacturing jobs?
We can make about 40,000 different products from commercial hemp. We can make food, we can make fuel, we can make hempcrete, we can make clothing, textiles. You know, hemp doesn't require the pesticides that cotton does. It grows faster, it yields more fiber per acre, and it basically has no natural enemies. It's also a great way to take abandoned mine land and cleanse the soil so that it can be used for food crops. Hemp will create biomass on abandoned mine land. And if it's one thing we got, it's a lot of abandoned mine land in West Virginia. There's over 500 mountaintops that have been flattened. Just in Upshur County alone, there's at least 13 sites that are suitable for large-scale hemp production or for solar farms. And
So how do you get the people to do it, to go in that business?
I think one thing that we need to do is the county commissioners in this state need to get together, and we need to go to Charleston, and we need to demand our right to produce power. Because right now the power companies in this state have a monopoly and will not allow competition, which is not to our advantage. We could easily borrow money to build a solar farm, and the county would reap the benefit from it if we were allowed to sell it to the power company. But as of today, the power company will not allow us to be a competitor unless they give a special dispensation. They've done it for WVU. WVU produces a lot of power and puts it on the grid. All right? But it's like a test case with Mon Power and First Energy. We need to demand that right. It's going to take the county commissioners and our delegates together to force the Public Service Commission to allow it. We need to deregulate this state like our neighbors have. In Maryland, you can produce as much solar power as you want, put it on the grid. In Ohio, communities are doing their own power. Cleveland still owns most of its grid because they produced their power for years and they owned all the power lines. So now they can add a solar farm anywhere they want, tie it in, and everybody benefits from that revenue stream.
Any other thoughts on this?
I think we need to, along with a good education system, have infrastructure. We have a crumbling infrastructure in West Virginia and throughout America, actually, and we need to get broadband into the state. And with those things that we need to do, without good infrastructure and a drug-free workforce and good education, we're not going to crack businesses.
And just to add on to that, I think that we have to show that we have a healthy workforce that has access to affordable health care, that is able to be responsive to the needs of industry. So we could have the most educated workforce in the country, but if we're not healthy, then we can't attract businesses because they have to pay the costs of that health care. We have a third of the state on Medicaid. We have employers who pay for their employees to be insured. We have folks on Medicare, and we have folks that are participating in the exchange. And I think that if we put all those things together, we can fill in the gaps to ensure that West Virginians all have access to affordable quality health care. And I know that it's not free, but we have a lot of sources of revenue to solve the problem of West Virginia being perceived as an unhealthy state. And that's one of the problems I want to help tackle in Charleston.
Great. So it seems like we're leading into the subject of health and health care.
Now he wants to
Oh, yeah? Okay, you're doing economic. What was your question?
One of the problems we have with attracting manufacturing industries is infrastructure. You don't just build a factory that builds something. I was in the manufactured housing industry for quite a while, and what happens is if you look, there's different areas in the country where those factories spring up in groups. They're competitors, but they have common supply chains. So we can't just build a plant that does heavy manufacturing without all the supporting industries that support that. Some of the things that we can do here, though, with, some of the things Bob mentioned, it would require broadband, which is a huge problem in West Virginia. I dated a woman who lived in Lewis County for a while. I put satellite internet at her house, and it was faster for me when I tried to work from her house to hotspot my phone than to use the Wi-Fi. But there are areas in the state like, right around exit 132, the high-tech corridor. My daughter's mother worked there at the very first building at the Robert Mullahan Center. And, that whole, now NASA's there. There's all kinds of high-tech industry there. And those type of industries don't require a lot of transportation. We're not hauling heavy things across roads we don't have. So, that's an industry that we could develop here. And I think we could also go a long way by developing the outdoor recreation economy that's available to us. There are other areas in the country. North Carolina is doing a good job of developing that. Colorado, out west Oregon is doing a good job of that. And, because right now, most people aren't aware, we always talk about coal. Coal is not the largest industry in West Virginia. Tourism is. The tourist industry and the outdoor recreation industries don't have much influence because they're driven by thousands of little mom and pop operations, whether it's Ace Adventure Resorts in Fayette County or restaurants and hotels. And coal traditionally has the money in the coal industry gets funneled kind of backwards into, fewer hands. So those people are able to then influence the legislature in a way that 1,000 mom and pop restaurants cannot. And I think, but if we focus on that, because tourism is our biggest industry, and, if we focus on that, we don't devastate our ecology. It's sustainable, and it can coexist or be mutually supportive with developing high-tech industries. Economic globalization has forced labor to worldwide to compete for who will work for the lowest wages. And I don't think we necessarily want to get into a battle to see who can attract, heavy manufacturing, which is just going to attract low-wage jobs. All those jobs are being automated, by CNC stuff, by, computer-driven equipment. The days of somebody standing there banging on a brake press all day are over. I don't think we want to compete for those jobs. The other problem we have in attracting industry to West Virginia, and I've talked to half a dozen development authority directors, is that nobody can pass a urine test. We have the worst illicit drug problem, addiction problem in the country by far. And unless we get a handle on that, we will not attract industry to West Virginia in any form, whether it's manufacturing or high tech or,
Why I see all these Texas trucks running around here.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, you all have the possibility of getting elected to office. My question for each of you is, what is going to be your #1 priority? So when you come back here in February, you're going to say, during our first month in office, this is what I wanted to accomplish. What would be that priority for that first month?
Good question. Let's go this way.
Well, my first priority would to stabilize and fully fund the PI insurance. We need to get that taken care of before we can move forward in other areas.
Our minimum wage in West Virginia is $8.75, excuse me. It only applies to employers that have 6 or more employees. It doesn't apply to temporary employees. It doesn't apply to trainees or tipped employees. So I understand that there are small businesses that have more than 6 employees, and that those small businesses may need to be offered some incentives to retain those employees. But I don't think that that's a good reason not to increase our state minimum wage. So my priority would be to offer a bill that would increase our state minimum wage to $15 an hour. And I understand that that's a far stretch, but that's a negotiating point. So we need to offer incentives to small businesses to retain their employees, but what we need to worry about are big businesses that are paying $8.75 and letting all that money from that bottom line profit leave our state. So that's my priority.
All right. That's how it works for me. For the last couple of years, I've been a part of helping develop 2 organizations. One is called West Virginia Recovers, which is bringing some clarity to the growing peer recovery support services industry. And the other one is the West Virginia chapter of the National Association of Recovery Residences. Both of those, we need to support that development in terms of, we have, not just, to address the addiction problem. There's a lot we can do there. We need more long-term recovery residences, because right now we waste a ton of money sending people to 5 or 10-day detox programs. We send them to a 28-day treatment program, and then we send them right back to the same house where they came from. And that is not only unproductive, in many cases it makes that person, depending on what drugs they prefer, more susceptible to overdose and dying. So we actually put them at risk by sending them to treatment. And, long-term recovery solutions are more affordable. I can treat somebody for 6 months, 9 months for what a 28-day treatment program is going to charge them, and we're going to get a better outcome. But I think we also need to look at the state level. Starting July 1st, West Virginia unlocked Medicaid codes for peer supports or for peer recovery. And what that has the potential to do is attract bad actors. From other states, Florida and California in particular, are having huge problems with people that are patient brokering, where they get somebody in a cycle where they bounce them back and forth from a recovery house to a treatment center. And they're paying each other to trade patients, which is illegal. And in a lot of cases, it's led to deaths. And I think West Virginia needs to enact legislation to protect ourselves from those bad actors coming into this state just to chase Medicare dollars. Because what a lot of these people are doing, even our local comprehensive behavioral health centers are billing Medicaid at $60 an hour in 15-minute increments and paying somebody $12 an hour. So, that's a huge attractant to, the people that enter that system because they see the profit potential and, don't have any moral issues with profiting from somebody else's suffering.
So, in the first 30 days in office, I would like to look at other ways to increase the revenue stream for the county. I know after being in the fire service for a few years in this county that we have a lot of issues for the local fire departments with gas leaks. And what that cost annually is 20 times more than the revenue stream that we get from the wellheads in Upshur County. And that needs to change. These companies are making record profits off of West Virginia gas. They can pay their fair share for emergency services. And that's a big way to improve the revenue stream for Upshur County.
So we've got 15 minutes until 8 o'clock. Would you all like to mill around and talk one-on-one, or do you want to finish out the same way we've been doing here?
Mill around.
Yeah. Okay, one quick question and then we'll get up and mill around.
My question is, what are some things that you do not like about your opponent in terms of if they've been an incumbent? No. Like, if they've been an incumbent, what are some things? No. Their ideas, what they want to do in their office, or things that they've already done in office that you disagree with, and what would you do?
So basically, what would you do differently?
Or some things,
is that fair?
Some bills they passed, or something, that you thought was harmful to West Virginia.
Okay, keep it positive.
My opponent hasn't been elected either, so he doesn't really have a background for me to run on. So I'd like to take the opportunity to spend a minute talking about the fact that I've been of service to this community for years. I've been a board member of the Upshur County Literacy Volunteers for over a decade. I chaired UCARE right after Dr. Rupp for a couple of years and have participated in that ever since. I'm on the board of directors for Upshur County Family Resource Network. I time limited out on the board of directors for the West Virginia Coalition to End Homelessness and have been involved in homeless service delivery here in Upshur County. I've been on the board of the West Virginia Association of Fellowship Homes, and I'm on the boards of the two organizations that I mentioned earlier, West Virginia Association of Recovery Residences and West Virginia Recovers. I'm one of 16 trained recovery coach trainers in West Virginia. I have trained over 100 recovery coaches who are people who have gone from active addiction and now work in treatment centers, comprehensive behavioral health centers. They work in primary care offices. They work in drug courts. I have a long history of service to this community. I'm not asking you to elect me so that I can go do something I've never done before. I'm asking you to elect me so that I can do what I have done in the past at a new level so that I can make a bigger impact in this community and the state.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything negative about my opponent, who's not an incumbent either. The incumbent that was in the primary was Buddy Brady, and Buddy did a really good job in the last 6 years of lowering the cost of running this county. He saved this county a lot of money, and he should be remembered for that. I have been involved in this community since I first came here. For those of you that don't know, I own the old Adrian School, which is a real good example of what happens when you make a real estate decision when you're recovering from back surgery and you're on painkillers. Wasn't the most sound financial decision I ever made, but I own it, and I intend to preserve it because it's part of the history of this county. It's a significant part of the history of this county. And you know, I came here and I was welcomed, and my neighbors welcomed me right away, and I felt like I was part of the community, and because of that, I wanted to get involved. So I became a firefighter, I became an EMT. I joined the Chamber of Commerce. I joined I was the second president of the new Convention and Visitors Bureau. I'm a board member of the Southern Upshur Business Association. I'm vice chair of the Buchanan River Watershed Association. I work with April and Mountain Lakes Preservation Alliance, and we spend our free time out monitoring the pipeline construction because it's temporary jobs for a lot of out-of-state people, but it's our watershed that's being threatened. And we need to stay on top of that. And they know it's us out there. We go out there, we sample, we take pictures, we fly drones, we are up their butts. And we have to be, because the state and the feds have taken away all of the inspectors. Department of Environmental Protection has got 17 inspectors for all of the oil and gas in this state. That's 55,000 active wells, plus all the pipelines, plus all the inactive wells. There's no way they can do the job. It's absolutely impossible. So they have to rely on citizen involvement to do that. We shouldn't have to spend our spare time policing the industry, but if we want to protect what we have, then we have to do it. And we're always looking for more volunteers to help with that, because we can jump up and down and we can yell and scream at the government that they're not doing their job, but it's not going to change anything. If we want to protect what we have, we have to get involved and work on it.
I'm often asked, who are you running against? And my answer is, I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for the House of Delegates. And my ideas are outlined in my door hanger here, what I work for in my platform. And I'm running in my platform, and I think you'll find it to be the best qualified candidate.
This is a joke that's not going to play here very well. But I've been all over this district for this year, and it has been such a thrill. I started working in politics as a college student. My last year of college, I went to Christopher Newport University in Newport News, Virginia. And I worked for a state Senate campaign in 2007 for the late Senator John Miller. And went on to work on a number of campaigns over the years until I became a lawyer, and then I went and worked for a congressional campaign after I was finished studying for the bar. I love politics, and this has been a thrill. But as a lawyer, even more, I love the law. And I want to be your legislator because I want to help write the laws that are going to work for working families. And the joke that I was going to tell is this, that I've been all over these 7 counties, and a lot of times I'm asked who I'm running against. Of course, you all don't have to guess, but my response is exactly. Exactly. Delegate Hamilton is a very kind man, and he has served this county in the legislature for 16 years. And I'm asking that the young people and the women of this district get a shot. So I really liked Bob's response. And I am running for state senate. And this is not the last that you will see of me. And I'm looking forward to at some point representing this district. I hope that I can count on your vote.
These wonderful folks, thank you all. Feel free to move around and talk and ask those difficult questions one-on-one that you really want to ask.